Well, good evening, Speed Gaming 5. I hope you're here for some Randomizer. We have tonight the battle of the Fs. We've got Fatboy300 on the left, Fantallis on the right, commentated by another F, myself, Philian, and Ninban. Your name doesn't start with an F.
I know I should not be here tonight.
What? Oh, okay. You can stay. You can stay. It's fine. We got this.
Thanks, buddy. So yeah, we have Fatboy versus fantallis tonight for some Randomizer fun. Fatboy representing his team Whirlpool Pet for food, and fantallis for But We're Buddies, which is leading at 9 points over Whirlpool Pet for points.
Yeah. But We're Buddies is doing quite well in this division so far. If you head over to ALTTPRleague.com, you can check out that schedule and those results and see that they're sitting at 9 points tied with two other teams right now. A win by Fantallis today, gonna put them at 12, tying the lead of the division with Team Kappa. So all eyes on him, but I don't want to count out Fatboy.
Oh yeah. So I think they're both quite long time owners of this game. Fantallis has been here for a long time. Fatboy has been here for over 2 years already. So it's going to be a nice match.
Yeah, the thing that has me worried for Fatboy's side is he mentions that he doesn't really play a lot of Randomizer. He watches them, so I'm confident he's going to know his way around things. I don't expect him to get tripped up, but I'm hoping he's played just enough practices that something like a weird Lionel doesn't throw him off.
Oh yeah, that could definitely happen.
And I want those weird Lionels. It's one of my favorite parts.
Yeah. And if inverted mode has taught us something in the last few tournaments, is that taking the shot hit from the Lionels is better than getting hit by the Lionel itself.
Yeah, so everyone keep that in mind if you have to do this.
So one other part that's special about Randomizer is that not only enemies are randomized, but bosses are randomized. And they are according to the full setting, which means that all the original bosses are somewhere in the game, but 3 of them are there in 2 copies. Just like in GT you have refights against Amos Knights and Molas and Moldon. We are gonna have refights, but they can be anywhere in any of the boss areas. So it kind of pays to count your bosses, and once we've met 2 Trinexes, you're not supposed to meet anymore.
Yeah, and that counting is really useful to do because you can do things like, okay, I've seen 2 Armos Knights, I've seen 2 Landmos, I've seen 2 Blinds. That means I'm only going to get 1 Trinex, 1 Argus, and you can play with those odds a bit because, anything can kill Armos Knights.
Yep.
Trinex, not so much, and you have to be kind of prepared for that every time you go into a dungeon here.
Yes, and you're probably going to see a lot of them going in a dungeon, entering the boss room, and oops, I cannot beat this boss. And they're just forced to die or mirror or 7 quit.
Yeah, it's funny, you don't think of this, but Randomizer is that category where I want mirror possibly the most. Maybe not as much as Entrance Shuffle, but I want mirror early that escape and not get completely hosed. We are off.
Well, the guy got a good weapon. I'm not against that.
That's really good. What kind of damage does the hammer do, Ninban?
It does tempered sword class of damage, so it's quite good.
That's so good. It kills thieves in a hit. It kills so many of these enemies that might get shuffled in. But we've all known this. We've all seen this. We know how terrible that hammer hitbox is. This is like a real test of making sure you know how to use this weapon.
Yeah, we already got our first bottle in the Uncle chest.
Yeah, we're seeing an Uncle start.
Amazing because...
How do you feel about that, Ninban?
It feels good. It feels easy. Because there are 2 things you want in an Randomizer. A good damage weapon which we have with the hammer, even if the hitbox is bad. And we want some healing, some safety. So getting a blue bottle off the start is very good. And sometimes just deciding when you use that blue bottle that can decide the scene.
It really can. We've seen some good races this week come down to just who's got magic powder at the right spot. We got a map check there very quickly. I think I
Yes.
saw a red crystal at Eastern, green
When-
pendant Hera, and a pendant in Desert. Is that right?
I think I saw red pendant at Hera, but yeah, blue pendant in desert. And the only other thing I really want to have when I play an Randomizer seed like this is the hookshot, because there are so many enemies that can get killed in one hit by hookshot that it makes for a really great weapon.
Yeah, it all those berries, those little popos on the ground, those annoying little dust bunny shadow things. They all just go down in one hit to the hook shot.
Oh,
And even for the enemies it doesn't kill, it stuns them, so you can just walk through them more quickly.
have you ever got a GT climb with all these shadow bunnies and not having hookshot? It's so boring.
It's a bad time. I'm not happy with it.
But hopefully they won't have that tonight.
All right, so we're getting to the village without bombs. Fatboy goes straight to the bottle vendor. Fantallis checking the back of the tavern. Gets the mirror. That's nice to have. I'm a little sad they've both skipped that bush in the top right corner of the village. There's a bush behind a hammer peg.
That's not a bush. Oh yeah,
it a
yeah,
rock?
you can get stuff there. But there's also above the village, to the right of the fortune teller, there's a rock.
Yeah,
Has
both
a
of those.
50-50 bomb.
Both of those available to the runners at this point. Give a 50-50 chance of dropping bombs and would help their routing a little bit at the start here.
They're getting lucky. The chicken house doesn't have deadly enemies inside too much. Sometimes it can be just as peaceful as that, and sometimes you can have like 4 red guards waiting for you.
4 red cards. They all start coming at you. They move diagonally. They lag the heck out of the room, so you can't even dodge them properly. Ugh. I'm all right. I've never been hurt by that room.
So, how happy are you about that early mirror that they got in the bar chest?
It's pretty cool. I'm a fan. I like it. It means we can get to East Death Mountain right now as well, which is always a fun time. I mean,
Yeah, not really in logic,
we
but
need
they
the
can
land.
do it. Although, yeah, they can do it, but sometimes it's dangerous.
You're not wrong.
You don't want to get stuck with the old man in the dark like this, because once you start saving him, if you literally cannot get out of the cave because the enemies just destroy you, then every time you save and quit, you'll be back in the cave, in the dark, with the old man.
Yeah.
That can
And
be
maybe the
dangerous.
enemies are fine, but
Maybe they're just fine, yeah.
maybe you get, say, a weird Lionel or something, and trying to dodge that swordless in the dark is just not something always feasible. So you're right. In this mode, maybe you don't want to do that.
Maybe save and quit just before that, so at the worst case you can reset. But don't save after dying.
Yeah, be ready to hit that power button for the hard reset. All right. Coming out of Kakariko, we have a glove, a hammer, a book, a mirror, and 2 bottles. And tell us a couple seconds ahead, but of course, can't call this race yet.
Yeah, and the items don't point do anything in particular. They can do back of escape, they can enter desert, but they cannot complete it, so it's kind of annoying. Although it's a pendant, so you don't care as much about completing desert. So that could be a nice play.
Yeah, having it be a pendant
Aside
makes
from
me a
that,
little.
like, it's the only things that get unlocked. Maybe like Zoha, but
Oh,
out of the way.
I hope not, Zora. Fantallis is thinking of. No, he's thinking back escape.
Yeah, it's a king back of escape, obviously.
Yeah. No, this is of course
That's
the
good.
play to make. Free 3 items.
Yeah, and
Maybe
Fatboy
you get
doing
some
the same
direction.
thing. Already 3 bottles. That's
Yeah, but
quite good.
I was going to say more importantly the fire rod, but I don't know how much that does for us. You know what it does?
Well, there's a chest
Puts
in in Eastern that you can get now. No, you cannot get it with Fire Hood.
well, but it does put that Eastern Palace boss possibly in logic here.
Oh yeah, you don't need the bow. So that's one thing in Randomizer. Those head-eye girls that you need the bow to defeat. Now they get replaced with something else. So you could go straight to the boss in Eastern Palace right now.
Yeah, I mean that that big key location makes it uncertain, but the opportunity is still there. We also see Fatboy doing the dark room in the sewers.
I like
Since Fire
this
Rod
play.
does
I like
put
this
this in
play with
logic,
the
yeah.
Fire Hood, yeah. It seems he met some BMOs and High Knights.
Oh,
But if he treads carefully, he'll be fine. And it's the myth.
that's a
Great find for
good.
Fatboy.
That's a good find for him. I mean, we have to see how the rest of the items drop out. Fantallis might get bottlenecked early and forced back there from the mitts. That would be the best situation for him. The bad case for Fantallis is the rest of the game opens up and he kind of full clears everything else before he gets back to Dark Cross.
Yeah, I think basically the full game opening up is getting the Moonpool for Fantallis.
I do like this play to Desert, though.
Yeah, I also like it. And Fatboy, we don't know yet. He's doing the damn. That's okay. But yeah, Mitz can put Fatboy with a huge lead, depending on where is the Moonpool.
But it looks like Fantallis is blocked in Desert, so not going to be getting any other items or any useful items at all.
Yeah, he's just gonna exit by the right side to get to Agena, which he didn't check before going in. And we have Fatboy heading for the Minimal Dome Cave.
So,
That's always an uncertain location.
This is just
It's
the worst.
Shadow Bunnies.
Look at this. I hate this.
This is annoying. This is the most annoying form of Minimal Dome Cave you can have.
You know, the hammer hitbox is really weird. Oh, and Fatboy taking some bad hits here, falling down in the holes a couple times. It's a good thing he's got that fairy from the bottle already.
Yeah, it's just not standing in front of the Shadow Bunnies. Even if the hammer hitbox is bad, you can still hit them from the sides.
Yeah, I like to hit these guys vertically, either facing up or preferably facing down. There we go. What do we have in here? You know, I don't say no to blue mail in Randomizer, but that Moon Pearl's the real find.
Yep, and that means full accord access for Fatboy. So this is still early, like we're only 10 minutes in the seed, but I think I can already call Fatboy lead for now, at least until Fantallis finds his Dark Access.
Yeah, I expect he'll get that in South Shore once he's done Eastern. But you know, mitts do just kind of make all your routing nicer. A couple of Dark World trips, mitts-less by Fantallis. Even if he ends up in Dark Cross sooner, just that extra time investment could hurt him.
Yep, and what I'm worried about is that he can go to the Eastern boss, but there's a lot of bosses that you cannot kill yet with this loadout. So he might be forced to just not kill the boss, and by the time Fatboy gets to Eastern, he will have what he needs.
Yeah. So we got a map check there. I think we had a red crystal down at Swamp and the actually green pendant this time up in Turtle Rock.
But usually when you see a pendant in Turtle Rock, you always think, yeah, nice, that sword might not be needed. But joke's on you, the boss has randomized. And I always fall to the same trap in Randomizer.
And then it's Trinex anyways. Oops.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're Fantallis, you're I think you're hoping you get something like Armos Knights or Landmo or Moth or Blind. Moldorm would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Cold Stare is an annoying one to find. If he finds that here, logically it's beatable. I guess he does have that blue potion, so it'll be a bit of a hairy fight, but he can do it. Argus and Trinex are completely undoable.
Surprisingly, there's still a lot of bosses you can kill with just having the hammer. And Fireheart puts one more in there.
Hey, hammer's a good weapon. It does temperate sword damage, I hear.
Yeah, I think someone said that earlier. So we have Wizhobes in the Eastern Dark Room.
Fantallis. Oh, he's on the right side. There's no torch here. He can't. That's a Lionel.
Ooh.
And of course, no anti-fairy skip in this room. You can just walk straight to the pot. Assuming none of the enemies guard it too heavily.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we have Fatboy. He did Hype Cave. He went west all the way to Rage of Outcast. And he's doing the Overworld Shades because having the myths and the mirror this early puts a lot of stuff at very easily accessible, like doing the Smith's Chain right now. Because why not?
Yeah, this is really efficient. Unfortunately, he hasn't really found anything yet. It'll be a question of, is this time well spent? Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness, it's like a conga line of red guards. The shoutouts to those safeties you called out earlier.
Yeah. Oh my god. They are relentless.
I like how as he starts taking out these red guards one by one, they all start moving faster as there's less like. That is a great fire rod shot. No, pick up the magic. You might need the magic for the cold stare. Okay.
So as Fatboy is approaching Thieves Town, one interesting quirk about Thieves Town is that you don't need to uncover the hole in the attic that would normally make blind take that who form. So the boss is already in the boss room, just waiting for you.
Yeah, and we've seen a few people this week just go straight to the boss, YOLO it, beat the boss, and then count up how many dungeon items are left, and depending on that, they just bail.
Yeah, that's very that's a nice play. And we have Hermes Arcane, which is killable by Fantallis. So this is good.
This is good. Phase 2 is going to be really challenging. The hammer hitbox, if you don't have a sword in your inventory, is actually really, really tiny.
He can extend a bit of his hitbox by punching up and holding that, but it's not the same extension as you get with a sword. So it's still going to be pretty tight.
Good news is he only needs 4 hits to land. He's really playing this safe. It's working out.
Oh my god, that damage boost for the last hit.
Oh.
Playing with fire.
Right.
Nice job.
Fatboy side, we're seeing this Thieves Town play getting bullied a bit by a nasty yellow spike. Did you see that? It was hiding under the bridge.
Yeah.
So you'd walk into it during the screen transition and couldn't do anything about it. That's rude.
We always love these rooms that damage you as soon as you enter them. Yeah, did you see an item in front of Thieves Town?
Gosh, you know, I should have been counting actual items. I didn't see anything good, but I talked about that important count and what do you do after the boss, and didn't actually count.
Because I don't think there were anything good. There were 0 items in there.
Yeah, shoutouts to our tracker Werfjig, who is counting items for us, and can tell us there were 0. Alright. Hammer Armos Knights. This is not an easy fight. That hammer hitbox does not interact well with these things bouncing up and down on the screen, especially when you try to aim upwards like this. One thing you can do...
Go ahead.
One thing you can do that's really effective is the fire rod is at least going to clear out some of them quickly. You don't have enough shots for them all, but you can kind of clear yourself a path through the rest of the guards.
Yeah, that's a very good idea. So the good thing about hammer is that it does 5 assault damage on almost knights. And that's better than Master Sword.
I know.
Because this game.
If anyone in chat wants to link that damage table that we've got, it'll show you that the Armos Knights table makes no heckin' sense, and Fighter Sword is actually one of the most effective weapons against them. It's for reasons, I'm sure.
Yeah, reasons.
We can see that now that a couple of these knights are dead, the fight gets a lot cleaner for Fatboy, as he doesn't like actually get overwhelmed by a phalanx of them. Yo, there's that link in chat. Thanks.
Yeah, but I'm still worried about his hard counts. I think he still has that fairy, so...
I thought he used that at some point, but apparently not.
Maybe he got another one because he's already at 4 bottles. So, yeah. So now Fantallis is doing the thing I feared, and he's not getting the mids.
Yeah.
Going straight to the Dark World without them, which is good. Like, you get Dark World access, you don't normally go back to Escape, and especially not Dark Horse.
Yeah.
But he'll be missing them for quite some time.
Just look at that weird circuitous route he had to take to get to the portal. that if he ends up doing that a couple times, that'll really cut into his effectiveness. The other nasty thing about Armos without the bow is you're never getting the quick kill. So you have to do the full weird Benny Hill-like version of this this Red Guard. Kind of the way the devs intended, but certainly a pain. And good work though by Fatboy. He gets through it.
So he's going back in this town. Still having 3 items in the back. That's a
Speaking
sensible
of
play.
items you would like to have when you're fighting the Armos Knights, Fantallis finds the bow in the front section of Skull Woods.
Well, that would be nice, yeah.
That's actually going to make up a huge amount of time in that Armos fight. Like, I wasn't timing it for Fatboy, but it might have been a minute or longer. Fantallis is going to do it in seconds.
So I think that was at least 1 item in Skull Woods.
Looks like Fantallis is going to skip that vanilla big key chest in the center. Makes a certain amount of sense. I mean, yeah, you have the fire rod. You can check every spot except Mothula. But without a sword, you might check everything but Mothula, still not get your second item, and sink a couple of minutes in the process. So, what's that in the top of Thieves Town?
That was boots.
I'm very glad Fatboy went back for that.
Yeah,
I will
me
say,
too. I hope this also that's them. So
swordless boots in Randomizer kind of sucks. Swordless boots always sucks because you can't just dash through the enemies, but I think most players develop a sense of where they can dash to avoid the enemies, at least without sword. Again, like all the rest of your muscle memory, that's just gone in Randomizer, and you have to figure out new lines on the fly.
yeah, did like now the next big thing they want to find is a sword.
Yeah, we didn't get that. We got flippers from chest game. Which, you know, talking about that mitts hunt for Fantallis, flippers and chest game might lead him into swamp if his hookshot shows up soon, and that's not going to go well for him. Interestingly, Fatboy is skipping that Skull Woods area entirely for now. Instead, checking some of this North Dark World / rocks stuff, boots log and stuff.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And also going to check Lumberjack. Nice.
Did you catch what was in Lumberjack Cave?
No, sorry. Must not have been important.
Surely it can't be. We don't have a lamp, we don't have a sword, there can't be anything worthwhile there.
So look at how faster Fantallis is doing Amos Knights now that he has the bow. He missed the quick kill by a bit and has
Yeah, that's too bad.
do
But
the Penny Hill version, but still a lot faster than Fatboy was forced to do without the bow.
yeah, you work with what you got. And I have to assume he's going back into the dungeon here, just because of the sheer number of items to find. Okay, we're good. We're good. And Fatboy's Northern Run, not too good yet.
But they, even if they're not too good, you don't really feel bad about doing that because you feel your opponent is going to do the same thing.
Yeah, it's funny to have him doing all these checks that give him nothing, but at the same time, I don't feel like he's losing time because he's still doing stuff Fantallis is going to check, and he gets a sword, which is super important right now. That I think is going to send him back to Skull Woods. I sure hope so, because he needs that bow if he was going to head to Pod.
And he's heading this way. Fantallis is also doing the Bag of Thieves down. Yeah, there are still 3 items to get over there, so he's not going to skip those boots. He's having a bit of trouble with the spikes and beamos.
Interestingly, Fatboy not heading to Skull Woods. He's headed to the purple chest. Interesting.
Maybe he planned it from even before he got the sword.
That's entirely possible. You know, sometimes you just go, I'm gonna do this. I don't want to or leave my plan behind. Because to be fair, getting back to that purple chest spot is time consuming. But
yeah,
so
if you were gonna get back to that spot, that was the best time. Because after Skull Woods, you have to go all the way back through Skull Woods.
Yeah,
which is bad.
I mean, the Galaxy Brain play is to grab the purple chest, do some stuff in Skull Woods, and then take it away. But as soon as you beat the dungeon, that purple chest goes back, if I remember right. It'll disappear on you.
You also cannot enter the last spot. And yes, if you get a crystal out of Skull Woods, the purple chest will disappear.
Oh, he can enter the last spot. He can beat it. He just loses the purple chest.
Yeah, that's what I was saying in the second part of my phrase.
Gotcha.
I changed the idea in the middle.
Oh yeah, like we do in our routing all the time.
Yeah, exactly. I was routing at the same time as Fatboy was routing.
And this is interesting. Now he's making the trip over to Eastern Palace instead of doing the Skull Woods. This is...
Well, he's missing an opportunity here of being able to complete Pod and Eastern at the same time.
Well, so Fatboy can't beat Pod. He can do everything in Pod except the boss, but he hasn't been to Skull Woods, so he doesn't have that bow. Whatever, that's fine. He can do Eastern.
Yeah, he will be able to complete Eastern and kill Helma's okay. I was just saying he's missing the opportunity to just go straight in Dark World and do both Pod and Eastern at the same time with the bow.
Yeah. It's a little unfortunate. I guess I'm just a bit surprised that he's skipping Skull Woods entirely for now. But you know, maybe it's a case of not feeling totally confident with that Mothula room fight. Whatever boss is in there can get pretty scary. Like, we all laugh at Helmicopter because it's a really funny boss fight, but it's not an easy one.
Yeah.
It's that one where you're getting bounced into the spikes all the time, and spikes don't care if you have red mail.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but you have red mail, and then yeah, spikes don't care. But still, that's a very valid play. There's only one item left in the Skull Woods, so isn't really missing out on much. Well, he doesn't know there's 1 item left. Forget what I said. But there's still only 2 items. So.
Yeah, Fantallis. Sadly, what he is not going to King's Tomb to get that sword. He's down in the South Dark World, which, I mean, it makes sense. There's more items down here; they're faster to get to. Doing all those mirrors back and forth in the north part of the world takes a lot of time. It's just too bad for Fantallis.
So Fatboy entering the stereo room of Eastern with the whiz hose and the wild Lionel and the Igor.
What I like about this room is it's not that scary. You're just like, it's a couple whiz robes, whatever. And then the Lionel shoots something, and it just appears out of the darkness, and you go, what?
I like this by fantallis, blindly checking the Lake Hylia Island. But I don't agree with going hobo the way he's doing now.
How would you do it?
I would warp back to the Dark World, go the same way, but mirror just before the stairs that are there in the Dark World, get a hobo, and then mirror back and maybe go to Period or Pod or something. I think Pod would be the best option, especially since he has bow. But that's how I would do it.
Yeah, there's that really cool spot that you can hop down into the river and mirror from the Dark World.
You often forget about it because you don't have many occasions to use that, but it's a good harding option for that part.
Instead, I guess he wants to do Zora area, which works. It's too bad what happens to Catfish with this. Catfish gets orphaned. Maybe he wants to loop that all in as a Dark World check later on. But
Fatboy meeting the guards.
Oh, look at that hit!
Wow, nice. Really
that
nice
is
job.
well done. Good lineup. Efficient clear of that room.
So our first medallion, the Ether one, on the Zohar Ledge. Now we're going to pay Zora a bit of a visit.
Alright, that's fine. I just want to know, like, where are the rest of our progression items? And I don't like the answer is so wide open right now. Like, Fatboy can go clear Ice Palace right now if he wants to.
So a nice thing about the Hinox enemies that I don't think Fatboy knows very well is that you can kill them in one hit if you hit them with a bomb.
Oh,
so
right.
Yeah. So their strength is actually also their weakness.
Their strength is also, or their annoying factor is also the weakness of other enemies. Sometimes you want to leave the Hinox around for a bit. Let them clear out the other enemies in the room for you, and then take them out once they've dealt with it.
Yeah, with a bomb of your own, which is quite ironic. Yeah, and Fatboy is gonna have a bit of an easier time on Helmazor having the fighter sword, so he can at least do spinning damage.
Yeah, we're looking for 8 fighter sword spins.
I mean, you need some doubles. And it can also extend the hitbox of his hammer a bit more than Fantallis could. Now have our anti-Trinix weapon, the Ice Hood on Pyramid.
That's that's a great find. Even if you don't end up finding a Trinex, just having the ice rod in hand is a huge boost to your confidence. Like, you just feel so much more prepared to dive bosses, knowing that you can beat them if it ends up Trinex. All right, Fatboy. Doing the thing I'm a fan of. Going to Skullwoods. Two things are going to happen here. One, he's probably going to get a crystal. Two, he's going to get that bow.
And 3, he's gonna check the pedestal.
Look, I said two things would happen, so I'm only going to talk about two. So please tell me more about this.
So yeah, well, he's gonna get the bow.
No, I talked about that.
Okay. Well, I just said he's gonna check the pedestal, and that's really the only thing
Oh, okay.
interesting to
All
say about checking the pedestal, yeah? I mean, he's going to do it after killing whatever's in Matsura's home. But at least we'll get to know. That's just an item check. So it's nice to know about that.
Sure is. I think it's amusing here. Fantallis rang around with the bow because that's what the game gives you after the save and quit. Or no, he must have switched to it, even though it's not really required or even necessarily useful on this side of the dungeon now.
Well, the thing is, there was a mimic that was blocking him from using the warp, and I think he just wanted to kill it with
That'll do it.
the bow. And the hood shot here, so that's nice.
So that is now every boss that we can beat.
Yep. But that puts the myths even farther in logic. And that was the second item in Skullwoods. I didn't see it the first time, but just 10 rows in the smoky chest. So that's why Fantallis didn't go to the big key.
Aha. Gotcha. So 10 arrows and the bow. Ooh. And basically vanilla Wallmaster grabbing Fatboy there.
Yeah, I think Wall Masters always exist in Skullwoods.
Oh, really?
Of all the Randomizer scenes I've played, I don't think I've ever not seen a Wall Master in Skullwood.
So not only do they add Wallmasters to other really, really rude spots, like the top of GT or the bottom of Ice Palace, but they don't even take them out of the spots they're already in. That's...
I believe that's right.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
And what a Hoodent Fairy here.
God. I like this attitude that Fatboy has of, I'm going to try to avoid it, I'm going to try to avoid it. Nope, never mind, we can't get by, we're going to tank it. We got to get through this room. Fantallis, meanwhile, faced with a spike going back and forth on the bridge in Pod, is just going to hammer yump past it and walk around to the back of the dungeon. That's a nice change. Usually we just see a yellow spike on that bridge that prevents you from doing hammer yump.
Maybe that was intentional for harding purposes, but he doesn't even have the lamp, so a bit dangerous.
Oh no.
He's gonna have to use the blue magic just to finish up the the first phase.
And he can do that, but this is a small arena to be doing this fight in. It's a good thing we've got a lot of fire rod shots. And
there's one nice thing about this room.
Which is?
The spikes.
Yes.
You can knock Cold Stare in the spikes, and it will take class 4 damage, which is the same as using the Golden Sword against them.
Yeah, that is actually a nice feature here. And just like that, Cold Stare goes down.
That was a nice kill.
So I like what Fantallis is doing with this hook shot here. You know, oh no, a red guard in the way, I have no sword, let me just stun this thing so it doesn't stop me.
Yeah, that's a nice idea. Also, you are right. Fatboy only did 2 things in Skullwood.
Huh. Okay.
I don't really agree with him not doing the 3rd thing, but I guess that works.
It's a weird call. I guess if you don't have any medallions or the Cane of Samaria, you know that like this is a long way off from being in logic. So you don't worry about it just yet. But it's
yeah,
also a very quick check.
At the same time, it's also kind of the same thing as maybe I should skip checking library. So, yeah.
Don't you skip library
what I did.
sometimes?
I did sometimes, and it never played well.
Fair enough.
So it looks like the Death Mountain Old Man Dark Homes were not that difficult because Fatboy did it in a blink of an eye.
Yeah. He's up on the mountain now. This is a good time to be up on the mountain. He can do pretty much everything up here. He can get over to East Death Mountain. He can do Dark World Death Mountain, with the exception of part of Hookshot Cave, since Hookshot's hiding over in Pod. This is the kind of thing, though, that I would have liked to see a ped check for, just so that you could, if you get your 2 items early in Hera, you have total confidence about, do I have to beat Moldorm, or the boss at the top, or can I just peace out?
Yeah, and that can already be a lot of time. Especially if the Moldon boss is something very annoying, like Argios. Well, he would not be able to kill Argios, but could be maybe another cause there. And we got a Vitius in the boss home.
Oh, I feel bad for Fantallis' arrow count, which isn't nothing, but it's not super high, and it looks like he's deliberately saving arrows at this point for the 2nd phase of the fight. This is some really advanced eyeball dodging he's trying to do, and it's working out for the most part.
Yep.
Better to stay on the left side where the lightning is less likely to hit you, especially if you're up at the top.
But you know what? Lightning does less damage than the eyeballs.
It certainly does, and we're down to Heart and Hack. It's not a good state to be in. Fatboy's side, we saw him get the Cane of Samaria and then just piece out of the dungeon. I'm not sure if we got a 2nd item here.
So Fantallis is very mindful of his arrows count. He's keeping 8 for the 2nd phase of the fight. That's exactly how many you need to kill the big eye without using any other weapon. And he's trying to finish the other small eyes with just the hammer.
Oh my goodness, he did it. Oh no!
Ow. You were too greedy on that.
I was. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. So the good news in all of this isn't that we got the lamp from Spiral Cave. That is like neutral news. The good news in all of this is there's a sword on the floating island. That is great news for Fatboy. He's going to be able to pick that up. He's going to have 2 swords when Fantallis has none, potentially. So that is going to be a huge advantage on his side.
Yep. And Fantallis burned up his magic on the crystal and decided to just bail out of pot for now.
Probably the right call. Not only low on magic, low on arrows. Both of those things are going to come back with time.
And with more swords, which will make the first phase a lot easier.
That's right. The bad news is he's doing Swamp Palace.
But with the hookshot, that made sense.
It certainly does. And we know that whatever enemy or whatever boss he finds, he can kill it and complete this dungeon. He won't have silver arrows for whatever he finds. Fatboy just got those in Paradox Cave. But, you know, we're coming up in a scenario where Fatboy potentially gets to go mode Swamp, and Fantallis is never going to have that option here. He's going to be doing a full clear.
That's an almost vanilla home for Swamp. Just one more Tektite than the 3 that are usually here.
Where did that extra one come from?
It's one of the splashing water balls stuff that got replaced.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So that was a quick medallion for Turtle Rock, which we don't have.
No. In some ways, that's probably good for Fatboy. Makes him more likely to head to pod quickly and get that hook shot. You know, our inventory is starting to fill up here. What do we still need for go mode? We need a flute to get to Misery Mire. We need whatever medallion that is. Anything else?
We need maybe the Ice Sword, but Fantallis already has it.
That's right.
Yeah, no, not really much. The flute and whatever's Maya medallion.
Yeah, and for those that weren't here earlier on, Ice Rod is sitting on the pyramid. Fantallis grabbed that just before he headed into pod, where he found that hook shot. And I think Fatboy was looking at doing a Spike Cave play there, but with only 11 hearts and I think his bottles are emptied, that's actually not possible to do.
Yeah, I see.
And of course, Fatboy, not without his own advantages, he's got 2 swords, one from the floating island, one from King's Tomb, and he's got that Cane of Samaria, which he picked up in the very first spot, right on the ground in Hera. He also ran by that spot where you can mirror to the hobo, which that's 2 for 2 on these runners.
2 for 2. And he hasn't checked hobo yet, I think. So yeah.
It's right there. It's so efficient. It's the only quick way
Gonna
to
have
get to
something
hobo.
to talk about later. Ooh, getting hit by that crow. Need to be more careful.
Things that are unexpectedly difficult suddenly in Randomizer. Getting Kiki to the door.
So Fantallis in his left side swamp only got rewarded by the King of Burna. But that can be interesting. That can be something that enables him to complete Spy Cave, for example.
Yeah, if we see a medallion or a flute hiding in Spike Cave, that could be a big game changer. Since I feel like Fatboy's going to be a long time going back to there. Similarly,
That or
with
in a Hookshot
Fantallis.
Cave, even.
Exactly.
There's still 3 chests over there that Fantallis will be able to get, but Fatboy didn't get on his first trip.
Exactly, but you know, for those Hookshot Cave chests to work out for Fantallis, he does have to get back to Dark Cross, which you know, might be on the table right after Swamp Palace here. I guess he's still got North Dark World in the mountain, but he's running out of stuff to do.
Well, Mundane still isn't in logic yet. Even
That's
for
right.
Fatboy, it's not in logic because he got the lamp in the mountain, like in Spiral Cave. That means that they actually need the flute to get up the mountain. So, you know, Samaya cannot lead to the flute, and that's pretty much about it. Lamp cannot lead to the flute either. Doesn't give us a lot of information, but still.
Ice Palace?
Yeah, could be ice.
Since we have the benefit of seeing all the spots both runners have checked, Ice Palace. I feel more confident saying Ice Palace then.
Yeah, so the one thing I could see Fantallis doing is hide after Swamp, get all the way to the pyramid, and then mirror and do escape with Dark Cross.
Yes.
This will give him his mitts at quite an adequate time, I'd say. Will not lose much time by not having mitts earlier.
Yeah, and he gets to loop in the Pyramid Fairy check with this as well. This that hadn't occurred to me, but you're right. He's got his 5-6 crystals right here with that Moldorm kill. He can go ahead and do that right now. Fatboy, it looks like, tried that same hammer jump play.
No, he wanted to damage boost through the spike, I think.
Oh, did
no,
he?
he's trying the hammer jump, yeah.
Now he's going for the hammer jump for sure.
He totally didn't put the bomb at the right place. He wanted to hammer jump earlier. I thought he was going to damage boost, but didn't have enough time.
That is a very hard spot to damage boost through. If you it's just very easy to get knocked left or right or so far back that you can't move through the spike in time. So for those of you who are wondering, like, why does Fatboy need to pause so much? What's going on there? What he's doing is twofold. One is if you pause every time you move, you limit yourself to only moving 1 or 2 pixels at a time, which is really good for setting up a precise location. The other effect of that is that the bridge does not fall as quickly, so you effectively are giving yourself more time to line up and play it safe with that. You could try slashing to move 1 or 2 pixels at a time, but the floor keeps falling when you do that.
Yep, that was a nice explanation. So Fatboy having already a Master Sword is going to feel much safer, I think, doing the Vithius fight. And also having the lamp, he's going to feel safer just getting there. Meanwhile, we have Fantallis in Escape, which I don't think Fatboy checked at all. He didn't check the front of Escape, he just cut the mid and never went back.
Yeah, Flute Escape here could be a real big boost for fantallis, and also will be that weird moment as a runner where you're like, hang on, did my opponent get this right at the start? Did my opponent get this sword right at the start of the game? How far behind am I because of this?
So that's good for Fantallis finding a sword here.
That's a good sword, and it's one that Fatboy may not find.
Just a map. So now Fantallis knows that there is an item in the Dark Horse, and he's going for it good. That will net him the Titan's mids. And now he's either gonna feel fine or he's gonna feel very behind. Because as a matter of fact, Fatboy got it like 10 minutes in the scene. And it was already in logic. So he could just guess that Fatboy maybe went there maybe as late as he himself is doing it. There's sort of interesting mind plays you can do in 1v1s about that.
Sometimes it's easier if you just try not to think at all about what your opponent is doing. But my congratulations to any runner who can actually successfully put their opponent out of their mind while they're doing the race. I know I can't.
Oh, I pull them in my mind.
I know.
I love to try to guess what my opponents think. And yeah, we didn't comment on that, but that was a nice quick kill of Vithius by Fatboy with the Silver Rose.
Alright, Fantallis with those mitts. Looks like he's doing the Ice Palace play. This may give him flute, we're thinking. I'm thinking.
Yeah, I'm thinking that too. It's also
you can think what you want to.
It's also a logically available dungeon. Even if Death Fontaine has many more checks, it's still out of logic for Fantallis. So you know, when you want to go to Death Fontaine, and okay, there's two ways to access Death Fontaine. There's the lamp and there's the flute. But I have this crystal dungeon in logic. If it has the flute, well, it's big. If it has a lamp, well, you don't care because you just completed the crystal dungeon anyway.
Yeah, and then you know your flute's probably on Death Mountain, so you just go there after.
Yeah, well, you just go there because there's a lot of items, but yeah.
I want to shout out Fatboy. And apologize to him, because he walked right by that hobo spot earlier and we chewed him out for it. But he went back to it and he mirrored. He did the play.
Yep, he did it. Nice.
Thanks, man.
Shoutouts to Fatboy.
And without Samaria, Fantallis gonna have to take the standard approach I don't want to say the dev intended approach, because we're still going to break Ice Palace a little bit. Just not the way we're used to breaking it these days.
The 2019 approach. Because this is so last year. I'm sorry.
I mean, you're not wrong. So yeah, with Icebreaker, which we just allowed as a glitch, you can take the Cane of Samaria and break through a wall and just do a full clear of this dungeon way faster. I hope we get to see Fatboy do it. You know, it saves a couple seconds if you're in go mode, but the real-time advantage is when is what you make up compared to someone who's getting to the right side the slow way.
Also having to clear this hallway of enemies because it's too cramped.
That's right. Everything sucks more in Randomizer. And Fantallis routing Ice Palace so that he ends up straight on the right side early on. Interesting. More interesting is what's going on with the enemies in this room.
What I find interesting is Fatboy replenishing his bottles with green magic at the fairy fountain here. But one thing I would have as advice to him is that you don't have to come out of the waterfall and he enter every time. You can just wait a bit, and she will accept your bottles.
This actually has me wondering, is it faster to wait or to walk out and back in?
That's a good question, actually, yeah. You're asking a good question.
So authoritatively, I thought you timed it, but...
No, I haven't timed that, but yeah, maybe Fatboy did. Good question to ask.
But either way, you know, that opportunity for green magic, a really good one. Chad already pointing it out. You know, that pain you get if you say, get down to the bottom of Ice Palace or the end of Mire, and the magic upgrades haven't worked out for you, and suddenly you find yourself facing down a cold stair where you need an entire bar of fire rod shots. The green potions can really come in handy. Lets you be a bit more liberal going through the dungeons. You can, say, take that ether medallion from Zora area and just use it to clear out a room in seconds rather than running around trying to stun and slash at everything.
Yep. That's good thinking. I believe that only leaves the boss in Ice Palace having an item, or maybe a small key. No War Master here.
Oh,
because,
good.
the most annoying thing you can get is a War Master in this hole. Hello
Good
there,
thing we got that ice rod earlier. So I love Hammer Trinex because it looks absolutely terrifying, but in practice, it's the same as regular Trinex. Like
it's easier.
your ideal tempered.
Because he doesn't freeze the floor.
That's right. So you want to do the same thing. You just want to stun it, get 3 hits, then stun it, then get 2. The big difference with Hammer is you have to get right up in Trinex's face. Like right to the bottom of the head. The good news is the target usually isn't moving.
Taking it safe, I like it.
remember, kids, it's always faster to spend 10 extra seconds on a boss than 2.5 minutes of rerunning the dungeon.
So yeah, the only item we got in ice was that mushroom. Interesting to see if it leads to the flute. I wonder where that shroom was, because there's a possibility it could be locked by the Gene of Samaria, I think, since the boss itself was locked by the Gene of Samaria with the small key. I don't think you actually need the 2 keys for anything in ice, except maybe hitching the boss.
Not if you got the hook shot. You're right.
Yeah. So it doesn't really matter.
In good news for Fantallis, he's at King's Tomb. He's getting his sword.
So now they're both at the same sword level. Even though I think he's gonna get the 3rd sword from that mountain.
It would be
not
very
long
weird
time.
to pass that sword up.
Yeah.
Unless he was already tempered.
Fatboy has decided to skip the left side swamp for now. He's in the back. And we know there's 2 items out there on the left side, Bruna and a heart container. So we'll see if, seeing that he has 2 items left, if he decides to go back in. And Fantallis deciding to go all the way and do this one thing. So that will net him at least the cane and the tempered sword. And the lamp. We're probably going to see. Go ahead.
Where the heck is that flute?
Yeah. Where the heck is the flute? Yeah.
Okay, so mushroom, dig spot, Bombos tablet.
That's a nice one.
All of Desert Palace.
Did that they went in?
We went into desert and it was boots locked. So.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's the problem with that list of locations is those aren't checks you loop in with each other. Those are isolated checks that you have to run to and then save and quit, and then run to and I mean, you can kind of do Bombos with desert, but
I would do shovel with Bombos.
I mean, those are kind of close.
And I would also do with mushroom. I would do mushroom, shovel, Bombos.
Right, but none of those are
with some
are
back and
close
forth
to each other.
Yeah, everything is close to each other actually, because if you take the whirlpool sort of Link's house, you can get to the witch, and then if you take it back, you can get to the shovel spot, and then from there you can run back to the warp that will take you to the Dark World. Yeah, it's a bit out of the way still, but you don't need to save and quit.
You're right. These are close together. It's faster than saving and quitting, but seconds faster.
Yeah, yeah, seconds faster, but still. I just wanted to contradict you.
You did, and you made a convincing case, and I feel effectively contradicted. Nice work.
And meanwhile, we got that Bumbles check, which was nothing interesting. And
there's also a second check in Hera that's available. Fatboy skipped it, Fantallis skipping it, which I kind of agree with. When your second item or your second chest is the small key, I'm just like, get out of here. I'm not coming back until I have to.
Yeah, one interesting thing that Fantallis could have done, that Fatboy could not have done, is a Hera pot to check at least one more chest, the compass chest, and the boss.
Mm-hmm.
If it's an easily killable boss, that's also a nice item check.
The other factor, of course, is that you might do that. You might clear all of Hera, but you're definitely not going to find your flute. We know that. Fatboy knows that. Fantallis is about to know that.
Yeah, that's true, and that's the only thing they need besides the knowledge of Maya's medallion.
Maybe that'll be Ether. I hope it's Ether. I really hope it's Ether.
And what have we got here? Powder in Desert Palace. So that's another check that could have the fruit.
That's
I
right.
know that one I don't have any idea how to roll it with the rest.
You sure? Because I was going to ask you, but if you want, I can hold off.
I could say, well, I had it with the flute activation because I'm already in CAC.
I mean, you can do that right now because we just got the flute in the left side of Desert Palace.
Yeah. But I don't think Fatboy is gonna check the magic bat before checking Maya's medallion.
No, I don't think so. He's going to go
Because that's
activate that
potentially
flute.
go mode he already has now.
Yeah. And, you know, even if it turns out Ether isn't from Misery Mire, there is that chance you see the medallion right in Mire Shed or in Bumper Cave. That key under the mat, as we like to call it, pays off a fair amount of the time.
Yep. But Bumper Cave is a long way from Mire. You actually meant the checkerboard cave.
I did, thank you. I was thinking of all those times with a checkerboard or a chessboard growing up as a kid when my queen was just one space off, so I'd bump it to give myself the advantage.
Yeah, that's a nice definition.
It's a terrible way to play. Don't cheat at board games, kids.
So moment of truth. Let's see.
We're
And
good.
it's Ether, so that's go mode for Fatboy. I thought I would have checked by your shed. It's 2 items and you still only have Master Sword.
Yeah. I feel safe saying at this point, Fatboy's not going to get that sword from the boomerang room in the castle. So, entirely possible he plays the rest of this seed on Master Sword. But this is good for him. He's going to get to do Go Mode Mire, which, as we all know, is sometimes great and sometimes awful, depending on where that big key ends up. And he's going to get a Go Mode Ice Palace, which is really nice to have.
Yes, and if he does the newly accepted glitch of Icebreaker, he's going to save a lot of time on fantallis for Ice Palace.
Well, Icebreaker only saves a few seconds if you're Go Moding, but compare
Oh
with...
yeah, but just the fact that he'll be go moding instead of full clearing.
Oh yeah, that's going to be big.
He's already going to be some.
And of course, looking at their dungeons cleared count right now, they've got a different set of dungeons completed. Fatboy leading by a dungeon because of that unfortunate death Fantallis took at, what was it, Vitreous in Pod?
Yeah, exactly. But once Fantallis goes back in pod, he'll have the Silver Rose, and he's going to make very quick work of Vitreous.
Yeah, and we see him on his way right now. Looks like he's headed to Skullwoods.
Yeah, that made sense. At this point, you just want to finish laying out the crystal dungeons you can beat.
All right, Fatboy, checking left side Meyer. Lights the 4 torches. And chest contains only a compass for him.
Yep. And fantallis, very unlucky, got blocked by Deadhawk in Skullwood's overworld.
All right, so we
Which
took
is
the
not
worst
something you...
enemy in
Yep.
the game. The one that just arbitrarily makes you lose several seconds while you wait for it to clear up. And we put it in more places.
Exactly. That's what Randomizer is there for.
Oh, thanks. Thanks. It's good to know.
And it almost happened again.
Big key on right side of Meyer. Fatboy does the smart play, recognizes he's out of keys and he has to head back to the left for the portal to the back half of the dungeon. And Fantallis gets to that gold stair room and realizes, hang on, I don't have the magic for this, but I can farm it. So I think we're going to see a couple cycles of him mirroring, clearing out this room, and then mirroring again for more and more and more magic.
He can farm it, but he's not gonna have enough because of the lamps. Or am I miscounting?
So you can do it. You can do it if you
Yeah, I
if you
guess,
got
yeah.
full magic. Because you can clear this room with 3 fire rod shots, or you can just use the lamp and not worry about the fancy math I was doing in my head. He's gonna need a full magic jar at this point, though.
Okay, he remembered the price pack better than us, which is good because he's the player. We're just talking. Sounds like he expects magic decanters from these enemies.
Prizes. Prizes. Is Fantallis or Scent we're watching? That's still not enough though. He's got to rerun this again.
Yep. We've got Lamboas in the Vita Hill spot.
You know, there are worse bosses for this room. Land Moldus, at least you can do entirely with ranged attacks, even if you miss a couple arrows. And, you know, you can stay at the bottom and avoid that goop at the top entirely.
Yep, nice boss. Last kill as well. So, Fantallis.
He's going for the jar.
Yeah. The big jar?
I think so.
Nah, you don't go all the way back to Fort just for that.
What? Where's he?
No, he's just noping out.
Okay.
That's unfortunate because I think he would have been able to do like you said. But he just didn't get enough magic before doing it. If he had me hold one more time to build up his magic, he would have been able.
Yeah, the math I was doing was if you do 3 fire rod shots in the room with all the torches, you can light all the torches. And then you pick up the 2 jars under the pots. And then you just need 1 more jar. But you can get that jar right before you drop down.
Yeah, exactly. So that means he will have to walk all the way back to Skullwood at some point to get his crystal.
Which, you know, he can do, and he'll get there in time, but he doesn't have that time at this point. Fatboy, look at this. Ice Palace already. coming back to hit the switch. But at this point, you know, Fatboy's got 6 crystals. Ice Palace is his last dungeon before heading up the mountain.
Yeah, he's going to go. And we see fantallis going for some more potions.
Was he doing
Going
potions?
to buy them. Yeah.
Mushroom?
He's going to buy potions,
Catfish?
I think, as well.
All of the above?
All of the above. But yeah, that's nice harding. I still disagree with leaving behind the Skullwoods boss, but for leaving it behind, it's still a good choice to go and do these checks, buy all those, and then come back later.
Yeah, you know what they say, when life gives you lemons, make blue potion. Not with the lemons, they don't make blue potion. But you know what I love about Ice Palace Randomizer? Is that room with the spinning fire bar on the staircase. You don't have to do the weird juke southwards to get around the fire bar. You just go north a bit like Fatboy did and dash straight to the left. And nothing gets in your way.
Yeah, that's nice. Except when Chomp Chomp is there.
Man, sometimes Randomizer sucks.
Yep.
Fatboy actually showed off there how maybe it's not that Randomizer's great or it sucks. Maybe it just depends on if you've got the powder. Like that anti-fairy bouncing around on the left side, it will heck you up unless you can just go, get out of here. Get out of here, I have powder you. Fatboy gets an unfortunate hit by the metal head there. It throws him off his rhythm. So it's going to take him an extra cycle to get this ice head down. But, ooh, one more cycle even. Unfortunately, even if he runs out of magic, he does have plenty of reserves.
And Drynet is down for Fatboy. And that's making me think, have we seen 2 copies of bosses so far?
No.
Not yet. So maybe those double copies are hiding in Pendant dungeons? Or maybe in GT as well. We also haven't seen any of Argus.
Or blind.
Or Blind. Or Motsla. There's a lot of bosses we haven't seen yet.
So, we're heading in pretty much blind about what the bosses in GT could be. The good news is, no matter what we face, we can take them down. It'll just be a question of how challenging is that boss on ice if we end up going there.
Oh yeah. The boss on ice is always a special event. You can get
Also-
Trinets there, which is probably the worst one to get.
I don't know, it's not so bad. He can't make the floor anymore, icy.
Yeah, but like good luck trying to hit him with the throw all icy. It's like he prepared the room before you got there.
Maybe if we had got to the room faster, it wouldn't all be covered in ice.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Is that how it
Just
works?
speed run more faster, please.
I'm trying. It never works.
Oh, we see
Hmm?
Fatboy doubling right for Hotshot Cave.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Checking for a third sword. Good call.
Yeah, he wants to find Temple Sword.
You know, something occurs to me. I was talking to Fatboy before this race, and I asked him, "What do you hope to see?" And he said, "If you're wondering about what I hope we see in our game, just look at our teammate. We'll pull Ped for food." And despite all that, he beat Mothula. He was or Cold Sir. He was right there. We didn't see that Ped check. But Fantallis did it. Which team are these guys really on?
Well, he didn't need to check it because he was missing only Samaria and Flute.
You're right.
Other monthly nights for
You're right.
gold,
Any
so...
reasonable play of the odds would have said, "Don't worry about it." But,
Yeah. But you know, it could have been food, like maybe meat that you can give to Ganon.
you have the wrong
Or am
game name, Ben.
I have the wrong game, so
Grumble.
grumble.
Speaking of grumble. That fire bar that hits you no matter what you do when you enter the room.
Yeah, that's a very grumble moment. So I think Fantallis is slowly inching closer to that flute location. Right now he's doing the bubble chest. He doesn't have it behind him, but when he mirrors back to the dark world next to the thief guy, it's just going to magically appear. And then
it's
he'll
like
be
a
able
ghost.
to do the bombos and pair it with the desert.
Ta-da!
You know, Fatboy going off. He did the high side first of GT, all the way to the compass chest. And now he's heading for the left side, which probably means that he will do a full left. If he doesn't fight the big key.
Yeah, haven't seen anything too crazy yet.
Well, it's good because he's saving the boss on ice for last.
Yeah, I wonder if that's
Which is a real time sync, especially in Randomizer.
I wonder if that was an intentional call or just the way things worked out today for him.
Maybe it's just the hold they do all the time out. That's a very used hold, a very good one.
That brings up an interesting point, though. You could do intentionally a left side first, just to the skeleton room. Make sure you have a small key, then you do right side. That also gives you the advantage of you're going to mirror out of that skeleton room, which doesn't necessarily contain skeletons and might contain something way harder to kill.
Yep, that's a good point.
All right, I think we just solved GT and Randomizer, so hope everyone was paying attention there.
Well, I didn't. Yeah, they were not going in Turtle Rock.
Yeah, there's probably a sword in Turtle Rock.
Yep.
And rando room, no items. So coming up on Bob's chest for Fatboy. And if not, we are going to see that ice boss on his
Oh
end.
yeah, I can't wait for that.
You cruel, cruel commentator. I like it.
Yeah, meanwhile, we got the fantallis to his go mode with the fruit and dessert. They're just gonna have to activate it and check that the Mario medallion is the one they have.
What on earth is that?
That was Bob, that was weird.
That's the strangest Bob I've ever seen.
Just looked like legs or something. And oh, hey, we got to dance with blind on ice.
Is this still a scripted fight? I want to say no.
I wanna say good luck.
It's a scripted fight, but it's all written in Sanskrit, so good luck.
I think it's a choreography. You need to follow blind the steps. Make sure you slash at the good times to make sure you keep up with him. And look at this, it's Home.
Boo.
Because you totally don't need to beat blind on ice.
Yeah, that's such a weird fight because you're almost guaranteed to get hit by those fireballs over and over again. And red mail doesn't help you because, again, like spikes, those are just going to do a heart every time. But what does help is just walking in with 17 hearts. At that point, it doesn't matter if you get hit a few times.
Can I just shout out little quick for the Squirtle sprite? The Squirtle bunny sprite actually having the sunglasses from the anime.
That's pretty cool.
This is a great thing.
I thought Fatboy was going to leave the room there. I was like, don't redo tile room.
There's a real possibility that you can get sucked in by the door. If you play with fire too much.
Alright. All of you who guessed 22 in the big key guessing game, you're awful people. Congratulations, you win today. So you know what was interesting about seeing blind on ice there? So we still haven't seen 2 of any boss.
Yep. Nice use of the hookshot here to calm down these mini Helmasaurs. They like to hush you all the time.
The only boss we know for sure we're not gonna get in Land Mo 2 is blind. And that's not because he was already in the tower, that's just because the room is weird and blind does not play nicely with it, so we just don't spawn him there. But again, all those bottles Fatboy picked up are gonna give him a lot of confidence. That half magic he picked up in the tower as well is just gonna give him that final peace of mind of, you know what? Magic is not going to be my downfall here.
Oh yeah, definitely not. Just gonna want to be a bit careful with the health situation, but I think the enemies got nice hard hops anyway. Oh well, that's the stunt prize that has hard hops.
Oh,
so if you're careful about that, yeah, it's gonna be easy.
That's I think Fatboy really likes that. I've noticed in his play tonight, he's very conservative with his health. He's a lot more willing to go grab those hearts than other runners often are. Heck, what did he do? How did he get 2 hearts there? Don't we know this?
Sorry? Don't know what?
Oh, I wanted you to talk about the heart duping glitch.
Oh yeah. So heart duping. Sorry, my attention was taken away. Yeah, so when you grab a heart with either the hookshot or one of the boomerangs, there are some sub-pixel thingy that can go on, but the main gist that you have to take from that is that you randomly get double hearts from the heart you pick up.
Yeah, and I think your
do it
odds
with the hookshot or a boomerang.
Your odds are a little better if you do it from the side as opposed to from above or below. But it's a nice way of just conserving that health, making it stretch a little further when some of your drops are going to give you extra health. Hey, there it is again. I appreciate how Fatboy tried to get the first bomb hit there on the Enox, but unfortunately you can't really control your bombs in that room. Good second placement to recover.
The first torch room looks a lot less stressful when you don't have the fireball in the middle.
And for once, it wasn't a spike in the way today.
But this second torch room looks stressful with the chain jumps here.
Right, 4 more chests at the top of the dungeon that might have a sword. Bombos, you know, could actually come in handy if we see a cold stare in this next room.
In this room, you said?
I was hoping you wouldn't pick up on that. If I see a cold stare in this room,
See no cold stare.
I am panicking.
Oh, it's Moldom, it's vanilla. Except with 3 eyes.
Moldorm has 3 eyes, 1 for each piece of the Triforce.
Or 1 for each hit he needs to take to die. Or more,
Sorry,
because...
I think
well,
you got
I blame Fatboy for hitting him with a poke instead of a spin.
Yeah. Poke's gonna bring you back down to fighter sword damage, where you need 6 of them to kill, instead of that spin at tempered sword. So, and you know, we know for Fatboy this is fine. He still has a commanding lead of, you know, Tile Room GT, plus the last run to the Crystal for Fantallis. But at an hour 40, when you haven't seen the dot done yet, and you're running up the top of the tower with Master Sword, that kind of fall is the thing that really rattles you, and it makes you go, hang on, how much time do I actually have here?
Yeah, and when you're looking at the possibility of doing Master Sword Cannon as well, which you know can be time consuming.
Thank goodness we have Silvers.
So nice that we got this little graphical glitch at the top of GT. We get something like arrows in your shadow, and Aganim also has them.
I
He
don't
does that.
fully know what causes it, and it doesn't happen every time I play. But it's like as you play and get closer to the end, the seed just gets a little more corrupt.
So Fantallis with the last restore is gonna start the climb of that mountain to get to GT. While Fatboy is going to be fighting Ganondorf here. Ganon itself.
Master Sword, Sword of Evil's Bane. Only works against Ganon if you spin attack. We need 12 hits in phase 1, 12 in phase 2.
Trying to get some nice doubles here. And the first phase is done. Now the second phase is the most dangerous one with Master Sword.
Yeah, you can try to do it quickly, and more often than not, your spins don't charge in time, you just get nipped by the bats and lose a lot of health. Or you can be cautious, which just feels agonizingly slow. One strat, ideally, is you have the cape, and then you can just stand between Ganon and the wall and rack up those hits. But no cape today.
Yep, and look how close you have to stand when you release those spins. Because the one he tried to did earlier didn't work.
Now, top right is a great spot for Ganon to sit. Ideally, you get in the very top right corner yourself, and then you can actually just spin, and it's pretty free and safe until the bats start shooting straight at you.
Yeah, and I think this is one of the worst spots for Ganon at the bottom, where he was. But he did it. The third phase now, so the most difficult part of the fight is done. And the healing to make sure he doesn't die, good idea.
Yeah, you do not want to redo those first phases again.
So now that third phase is done, we only need to hit Ganon 4 times with the silver arrows.
There's 2 already. Ooh, standing inside Ganon, but there's a third hit.
Yep, that was close, but he's done it. So GG to Fatboy. I need to cross that bridge, and then he will be obviously finished with the seed. Do you have the time, Farion?
I do. It's 7:57 here, but 1 hour 45 minutes and 2 seconds as the official SRL time.
Thank you.
So yeah, congrats to Fatboy Bowl, or Fatboy300, I should say. Incidentally, the 300's because he likes bowling.
Yep.
Who takes that win and brings his team up to 6 points total, keeping War Buddies down in that huge tie in the division at 9 points. And then joining us here in Voice Call. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, congrats.
That was an interesting seed. It was my first 2 weeks have been very linear, so it's been nice. It was nice having a seed that was just completely busted wide open early.
It really was.
Yeah.
In fact, we saw a very, very early divergence right after Kakariko. both of you guys went to the back of Escape. You took that fire rod, went to Dark Cross and got your mitts, and Fantallis didn't.
Yeah, that's I was super happy about finding that early, and I was hoping that Fantallis would have hit that, just because, I mean, Starkrims, yeah, you have the fire rod, but it's Randomizer, so you don't know what you're gonna be going up against that without a sword and only a hammer and a fire rod. But figured might as well try.
Yep. One other thing I wanted to ask you, it's about when you went to the Waterfall Ferry and you filled your bottles with green potion. Was it faster to exit and enter the Waterfall Ferry?
I
Or
don't
you
know.
just didn't know that you could wait?
Yeah, I know you could wait. I don't actually know what's faster. I saw someone in a race a few days ago do it. I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna try it. It doesn't seem like it's that much slower. If it
Yeah,
is,
it didn't seem much slower, so yeah, I was wondering if you
so.
if you knew the answer. If you
Here I
just
thought
waited.
you had that hot information.
Unfortunately not. It may have looked like I was doing Galaxy Brain plays here and there, or forgetting stuff here and there. The reason behind some of my weird routing is I've been running a fever most of the day, so my brain's not quite all the way here.
Well, you fooled me.
Yeah.
Right,
So
yeah, no, you were playing good, and you won the race, so all good. And I hope you feel better soon.
I'm
I
rest of the
do
night will be relaxing, but yeah, I know, like with when I found that sword in King's Tomb, I was thinking about it as I was running back with the purple chest. I'm like, I could have probably done Skull Woods first. And
Oh, hey, that was my question of why the heck didn't you go to Skull Woods right away?
Yeah, I just had in my brain, it's like, I'm gonna do these checks over here. I'm gonna go do purple chest and just do that, and just turn my brain off for a couple minutes because I knew what my plan was, and getting the sword didn't trigger that like thoughts like, oh hey, I can go do Skull Woods. So
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, I kind of felt bad about finding the bow in Skull Woods after doing Armos Knights in Thieves Town. I'm just like, of course there's loot right there the
That
whole time.
that happened.
But I mean, with the way I routed it, it just Thieves Town was gonna come before Skullwoods anyway. When I had Titan's Mitts routed from the south, so. That was the same reason I accidentally went to where Hype Cave is in the Light World before I went to Hype Cave, and brain was turned off for a moment, and I'm like, oh wait, this is not in the right world. gotta go in the portal first.
Oh, we didn't catch that one, so you're off the hook for that.
Now I ruined my reputation. Felt like I'm glad the execution was fairly decent tonight, because I was worried about that going into it, which is not feeling well. But execution was pretty much there, but just the mental routing was. If I went back, I would have routed things a little bit differently, but.
Hey, it still worked out very well for you, I think.
Yeah. So aside from the Skull Woods thing, looking back now, you have perfect information, of course.
Well,
so
yeah.
This is easy to do, but what would you have done differently?
Well, the Skull Woods is a big one. I'm trying to remember. I know, like, I almost forgot to go check Hobo on the way. Well, I did forget to check it on the way into Pod. And then on the way back, I almost passed it. Like, wait a second, let's do this real quick.
Yeah, we gave both of you crap for not using the mirror spot, and then you used it later.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, so we ungave you the crap.
The other thing I would have done, thinking about it on hindsight, is after completed Pod, I had the hook shot, and that meant I could have cleared out Swamp Palace, get my the other 5/6 crystal, and route Pyramid Ferry in with the ferry and Catfish and Zora area. But instead, I just went from Pod up that way. So.
Well, you got to Pyramid, which was the really important thing. Only needed that ice rod once, but boy, did you need it.
Yeah, I want it with it being Ice Palace of all things. It's like a really didn't want to. I'm glad I didn't have to double dip there.
Yeah, looking at this race and how things played out, I mean, part of this was the mitts that you had when Fantallis didn't. Part of it was you were just a bit better equipped when you guys ended up fighting bosses. So, you know, yeah, you had a slower Armos fight, but Fantallis went into, say, Vitreous with just fighter sword, or no sword. So he was using hammer for that, and he had to take a few runs to get to the Gold Star fight with full magic. You know, just a couple things like that added up to some of the time difference we saw.
Yeah, and I almost went into the desert early when I was doing purple chest. I'm like, I knew I could full clear it, but and when I looked at my map, I was like, oh hey, let's do the crystal first. But it almost would have been better to just do desert right away with the flute being over there.
I mean, I'm not going to fault you for not pulling a go mode flute out of Pendant Desert. That's pretty obnoxious.
I don't mind Pendant Deserts. With it's so quick and fast and going in there. Yeah, I would have liked to have the flute before going in there, so that way I didn't have to open it up with the book. But when I found the lamp up in Paradox Cave, I'm like, well, the flute. I mean, the flute still could have been in a ton of different places. We had Darkhold Axe so early, but I need to be thorough about a lot of checks. Like I had that nagging suspicion that like of course I'm not gonna get flute before I go into desert. It's because it's gonna be in desert.
Fatboy, I know it's 10 minutes past. We run with the delay, but what's your stream doing right now? What's going on there?
Trying to pull the head.
That's nice.
And I need my food.
Some bad news for you.
Yeah, it's couch cash, but I mean I could use that couch cash to buy some.
It's more that you can't, but okay.
This is just a personal thing. I decided to do any race that I want. I'm like, I'm just gonna go sit on pad after I let the credits roll. I'm just like meme it up a little bit or whatnot.
You know, I'm really liking this rando league. I like the way we switch things up every week, and I don't have to race every single week. And a lot of people are doing things like this. I enjoy that.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, with the way when our team looked at the schedule, it just kind of worked out that I'm gonna be racing every week anyways, which I don't mind. This would have been the week I would have preferred to take off, but Hacksaw kind of beat me to the no dibs on not doing Randomizer, so I'm like, fine, I'll do it.
All right, blame
But
Hacksaw.
yeah, I'm blaming Hacksaw. But I'm really looking forward to, because next week the mystery? Yeah, off the top.
Yeah, next week's mystery.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I know there's a few things I need to practice for various mysteries, but I'm hoping for a crazy seed for that, because I like I'm really looking for cross keys, so I like entrance randomizer and that sort of thing. So hopefully a mystery seed next week will be pretty hectic.
Yeah, that's also what I like. Gonna have fun. Do you know which team you're up against next week?
I do not remember what.
He's up against Team We're Bad at Team Names. That's the Clifford Sinak Rick team.
Some fun
Which
races then.
You know, that's a good team, but it's too bad because I was about to just throw down the mystery race gauntlet against Fatboy, like right here in this interview.
Yeah, I don't feel like there's definitely going to be some practice week, and like hoping for like a Thursday or Friday race next week. So I basically have like a week and a half to just practice mystery seeds.
Yeah,
Because
certainly need it.
yeah, they're different beasts because you don't know what you're going into. There's just different routing things you do. Like as soon as you can check like pyramid and GT, it's like you kind of want to, but you also don't want to necessarily go out of your way in some cases for it. So it's just a lot of crazy different situations you can get into.
By the way, the sword Fantallis has that you don't.
Oh yeah, where
Boomerang
was that?
chest in the castle.
Okay.
So that was his first sword, which he picked
Oh
up
wow.
just before getting his mitts.
So he just didn't go do King's Tube right after.
He
finding-
did, but yeah, much
Yeah,
later.
I'm just saying like right after he found the boots because
Oh yeah.
yeah, when I got the
See.
boots, I'm like I'm going that way, and because he should have had the mirror already by that point.
So with that, Fantallis finishes with an official time of 1 hour, 57 minutes, 42 seconds. Thanks SRL, because Fantallis isn't stopping his timer for us. But he's going to join us here as well for a little interview. He promised me.
And here he is. So GG's Fantallis.
Hello.
Oh, there's that voice.
Blip.
Oh, there's that voice.
Yeah, that's the one. Hi.
Hi.
So I figured I should finish that out because there were a few swordless kills in there. I know the fantasy league people need those points.
You racked up a few.
Not enough, it would seem. Yeah, I had. I have a problem. Like in my brain, I'm like, I don't want to go get potions if I don't have the flute. Turns out that's pretty important. Yeah. Anyway, I'm, I'd say like 2/3 of this I'm happy with the stuff that I did, and then the other third I'm like, But
what would be something in the first 2/3, or the other third? Take your pick.
What would
Take
be
your pick.
something in the first 2/3? Oh my goodness. The decision to go into Eastern, I was really hoping, because this did end up being like a dark fire rod locked seed in the end. And so I went to Eastern expecting, hey, maybe Big Key's not going to be in the vanilla Big Key chest. That was not the case, but that Helma fight was spicy, and
That was good.
there was a little clenching going on there. I also I was very much happy that I it was the late flute/lamp logic and finding that lamp on Death Mountain. I was very much happy that I decided not to check any potentially lamp locked places, because that did wind up working out. Yeah, I'm also happy that I did not go all the way back to Ice Rod Cave, because that was the terrifying thing the whole time. Is like, what if the flute was there all along?
Then you're just done.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right?
Exactly.
Like, you don't go there because that's the wrong decision, because if it is there, you already lost, right?
Yeah, so I don't think we ever saw what was over in Ice Rod Cave then,
No?
because I didn't go check it.
No, there was just never any point, I guess. was just like you didn't have the boots until you got into the Dark World, and the flute was pretty deep in there as well. So
The flute was due to go, but
yeah, that was I hate when it's in Desert Palace.
that's why I checked it as early as I did. I'm like, I got this nagging suspicion that it just, of course, it's in there.
Well, I had the horrible mistake of having checked it earlier, pre-boots.
Oh,
'Cause I was
ouch.
like, yeah, I hung a left at Dam for some weird reason. I don't know. Sometimes you think to yourself, what if? And you're never right, but you got to think
Ben
it.
and I both said, "Hey,
Yeah.
this is a good play. We like this."
Well, I thought it was all right too. I don't know. You get early book. It's not the worst thing. It's just unfortunate that not only was the one item not in the one accessible chest, but it was, I think it was like map, something like that.
Yeah, it was a map that was in the first chest of Desert.
Yeah. Anyway, good stuff, bad stuff, but congratulations. That's
Thank you, GG's. That was the fun seed.
yeah,
As
man.
I was saying before you joined in, my first two races have been very linear seeds. So it was nice to have something that just busted open so early. In my case, because I went and did found Titan's mids like super early when I went to check back of escape.
Yeah, I put that off for a little bit. And then even after that, I was putting off going up the mountain, which I think ended up being probably not a bad idea in the end, because I only made 2 trips up the mountain in the end.
I think that's all I made. Well, so, yeah, there wasn't really anything on the mountain other than
Yeah, no,
Mario.
it was really like you want to know. At that point, it was like, is this where my flute is, or could I have gotten my lamp way earlier? And it was neither, I guess. I don't know.
And going back to the question earlier, before you joined in, I want to say, yeah, one of the other mistakes that I would have taken back was checking ped after doing Skullwoods, because I completely forgot to do that, and I felt so ashamed of myself for what my team name is. Because I made I don't want to say a lot of those plays, but there was a few plays like I could have done Skull earlier, because I found the sword in King's Tomb right after Thieves Town, and I just didn't even think about going into Skullwood. Skipped it for a little bit. I had a few other things where it's like, yeah, I could have routed this a little bit better, but I'm not complaining now.
True. Well, I'm happy to get a break next week. It's against some formidable opponents, and
Who do you guys get next week?
we got
Oh, you got
what
Willard.
is it? JTWB. Man, there's a lot of letters in that name.
Just
yes,
call it
even
Willard's
letters.
team.
WJTB. Something like that.
WJPTBB.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's an extra B in there.
Yeah, for BYOBB.
Is that a?
It is a Simpsons reference.
All right. Well, I'm ready to shut her down. But thank you so much, both of you, for volunteering to commentate with this, and just to the speed gaming community in general for restreaming this thing. Y'all are fantastic.
We had 250 people watching on SG5, and it was because I wasn't messing up my words earlier in the night. So I'd say you guys brought out quite the crowd. Well done. You certainly give us a lot to speculate on, because you wouldn't go to the same spot at the same time. And
Sorry.
it's hard to follow, but it's also
I'm trying to put on a show here. That's why I didn't go get my that's why I didn't go get my sword out of Escape. 'Cause, you gotta put on a show. Even though I could have instantly done that, and the moment I opened that box, I was like, "What?"
It's funny because that's the one sword Fatboy didn't get.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wait, where was the...
He got
Other
King's
one.
Tomb and he got Floating Island.
I didn't get the one at Pyro.
Okay.
Sorry, when I say one, I mean the one you got
The
that
one-
he didn't get. We have
Okay.
no idea where Butter is. It's probably Turtle Rock
It's in Turtle Rock. It's... Or, like,
or Meyer Shed.
so we know it's not in Gan's Tower.
I was really debating because I didn't necessarily feel behind, but I felt like it'd be fun to just make the meme play and do tile room first. But I'm like, nah, let's take this serious because I still feel like I have a decent shot at winning.
Should have done it.
I should have. Could have saved a good like 6 or 7 minutes. Maybe not that long. I don't know how long full clear of GC is.
All right. Wrapping up. If you want more races. 10 minutes ago on the ALTTPR League 3, Roach and PRD Wong started racing. Hey, those are two names that I know are pretty good at this game, so you might want to go check that out. That'll be it for races tonight. Races start at 4:10 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow, so just go to the schedule, check them all out. Probably sign up to commentate or track some, and keep things running. Maybe matches. Literally all the time. Hey Ninben, what do you think about Worth Jig?
Well, well, they are great tracker because they kept track of everything going on with both of our hunters going in different directions. So, nice job here.
I like the part where he was in Discord prompting me when I was asking questions because I couldn't see everything, and he was picking up on all that. Shout out, Stam.
Yeah, big shout outs. And thank you to you, Falion, for bringing me into the commentator booth tonight. It was not something I was due to do, but I had great fun with you. So, and thanks to both our hunters for, of course, hunting this scene. So yeah, great fun.
Thank you to
Ben
both.
is my friend. Thank you for joining.
Thank you for both of you for commentating our race tonight. So I'm actually really excited to go back and rewatch the race and get some insight to what we were doing.
I can't promise that, but I can promise it'll be entertaining. All right, have a good night, folks.